Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, wondrous Propagandacast with me, your host, ImperialDane, Master of Propaganda. We are off here to a 1v1 on Holotny Farma. We shall in fact watching that bastard ImperialDane funding for the Soviet Union. And the 25th Rifle Corps with the Reserve Army, Partisan Tactics, and Advanced Warfare Tactics here as the commanders available. Two conscripts on the commandos straight away heading out, fighting up here against EC.
Conscripts have arrived.
Fighting for the Kampfgruppe Hermann with numerous Ostrom here popping out, so obviously we know what commander he's going for straight away. In fact, large quantity of Ostrom moving ahead here. Many men, in fact, 3 squads already.
We have a new unit.
Formed up most likely from the Hilfswilliger and forced into combat, or perhaps some Ostbataillon or even a Sicherungsdivisionen, which would occasionally also have Ostrom advance there attached to them. More conscripts on the way, and we're noting here he's rather focusing them all into the same spot, lining up an awful lot of them and an awful lot of rifles.
We have more conscripts at our disposal.
Definitely setting up for something big here. In fact, we're seeing 3 squads here of Ostrom already lined up, and there we go. Quite the welcome party here for the conscripts. 18 men fighting away against 6. Conscripts that are quick to get away. Ostrom slowly securing points. Of course, that is one of the disadvantages of Ostrom. They do take points rather slowly. And there we go. I mean, he can't even sort of fully set in because he still needs to take that point. But there we go. Manages, and there we go. 18 men moving in against the conscripts up north. More conscripts sweeping up north here, and we also sometimes seeing some further Ostrom arriving here, attacking at several angles, but there we go, charging straight at them. Nope, Ostrom cannot fire on the move, and of course also another thing is they actually have less health than regular infantrymen, so in this case it quickly catches them out in the open and begins to do damage there. A few losses there to the Ostrom. Up here this is the same thing here, contributing to fall back into cover, contributing from there, roaring in to rush into it, and there we go, Comets moving to assist the conscripts here. One Ostrom squad already there, taking heavy losses, another set of losses there. There you go, conscript flanking here, catching the Ostrom out of cover that way. Quite a bit of shooting going on here. Lots of shooting, in fact. Lots of bullets flying here as we see numerous Ostrom, but their numbers are rapidly dwindling. In this case, at the same time, the conscripts are getting taken a bit of beating here from all these Ostrom in cover, thus becoming reasonably effective. But at the same time, though, I mean, they are taking quite a shooting as well. And there you go, one conscript squad has been forced away. This one is still there. And we're seeing another squad arriving here to reinforce. The losses are many already in this short span of minutes. The Germans have suffered quite grievous casualties amongst the Ostrom contingent. And hurrahing in there to get close there while the occupied with the southern conscript getting closer here. And there we go, I mean just bodies all over the place right here, just an utter massacre. Definitely did not go well here for the Hilfswilliger. Did not go well, and generally they were not well received by the Russians.
Enemy forces are attempting to
generally nothing good ever happened to them. Let's just keep it at that. Points are being secured, conscripts reinforcing. Not that they took that much of being, they certainly did more damage than they took in most cases. And noting here, by the way, I went for partisan doctrine, rather figuring I'd try them out actually, versus the Ostrom, see how they actually fare there, and see if they could sort of pull something out of that. Not only here, like the Mechanized company has been rushed for. Point there secured. Conscripts here falling a bit back versus the Ostrom. Ostrom crawling ahead here, might be making moves there for the house. Nope. In fact, I was expecting that, so just at the same time I popped there, but rather than he moved northward, so that rather spoiled that. Pioneers head down south, engaged by 2 conscript squads. And at the same time, I'm here for cut-off point. Rather bold play there, rather bold play, hoping to, of course, disrupt my resources. Ostrom, and we're just seeing them moving in large numbers towards the north, also taking up positions in the church, although those Ostrom are not looking too good there. So Partisans holding up here with a pair of SVT-40 rifles. We're seeing to see their Ostrom dropping like flies again. Up here, conscripts are trying their best to sort of hold the field point, needs to enter neutral. They have to see that. Taking heavy casualties there from all of the Ostrom while they're out in the open. And there you go, the first Panzer squad has arrived. The Kampfgruppe has sending something a bit more to sort of follow up on the Hilfswilliger. We're certainly beginning to bleed out rather rapidly. Partisans in here, survival training on the way. Moving up here in the Ostrom. And there we go, quickly dropping a few more Osttruppen. Conscripts arriving. Panzer going. Nope, Pioneers actually there. Ostrom here reinforcing. Looks like the Panzer is actually heading south. Mines going up there. Minen. Unfortunate partisan here need to get into cover though. But there we go, dropping a few Ostrom. Conscript combats here running to trouble with the Panzer Grenadier. Few points secured. Troops all over the place at the moment. Pioneers moving in. And again, a large force there. I mean, he does seem to be blocking out a bit, which to a certain extent, you know, rather risks losing a lot of them once the more explosive stuff arrives. And there you go, commies wiped out. Replacement squad on the way. Doing the best here to sort of keep that viewpoint out of his hands. And there we go, just in the nick of time. At the same time, he retreats, and there you go again, just the Osthorde advances. Partisans here doing what they can. Veterans you won though, but they might want to consider retreating man out. And again, note, Ostrom are not that effective out there, but even this, I suppose, with these numbers, they can actually do something, considering, you know, the conscript's not looking too good either. Even then, he does risk a lot with them. In particular, when he's standing out there in the open.
Losing territory.
Your predecessor died a hero.
And support weapon company up here. Not that they're going to be getting anything from it. In fact, moving straight on to some lighter vehicles to sort of try and deal with the Panzer Grenadiers. Figuring with all these massive manpower investments in some departments, he will be a bit short on certain things. Panzer squad here riding with a light machine gun and just tearing into the Ostrom there with the MG-42.
There are local partisans ready to join forces with us.
But rapidly beginning to lose ground. Those Panzers is definitely causing a larger part of the issue. Pioneer squad there, cut down though. That's going to hurt him a bit, and we're seeing an additional Panzer squad there running for EC.
Under attack by infantry. Red Army at your service.
So there we go, rapidly pushing ahead from all sides. Another Ostrom rapidly loses his life as the Panzers quickly move in for a counter-attack, and there we go, Tank Group 10 command is going up.
Forces are capturing our supplies.
Noting here, Minesweeper, since he rather saw me lay down some mines earlier. And again, Panzer pushing in here, not good, not looking good. Ostrom now themselves also taking rather intense casualties. And generally, I mean, they are bleeding all over the place.
A sector has been cut off.
And meanwhile, I'm basically buying as much time as possible until the T-70 tank can arrive.
Return fire!
There you go, Panzers moving in from the north here, Ostrom following in their way. Partisans and conscripts doing what they can, but they're ultimately not having much success here. Versus the veteran Panzer Grenadier.
The enemy is taking what we have secured.
Tank Group Battalion command almost up. Large force of troops there moving out. Need to be sort of keep things a bit closer at the moment with all those Panzer Grenadiers. They can't afford to spread out, since those Panzers will largely win in the 1 versus 1 engagement. They go take up inside that old house. So they're going to focus down here on those Osttruppen, which will be easier targets, and regain the connecting point there. Going for the fuel pods. Well, there we go. T-70 light tank on the way. Ostrom there run off. But basically very little to no map control left at the moment. Well, we see here EC is basically pushing a fourth all over the place. Reasonably well, reasonably well.
The hard part will be keeping it.
And there we go, Panzer X up. Obviously here EC has rather expected what will come next there, thinking ahead. Also thinking what kind of force it has and what kind of response that will engender. So good thinking there from EC. Good thinking.
More units are here.
And there we go, the T-70 light tank rolls out for the glory of the Rodina. Or the Rodina, something like that anyways. And of course, troops here reveal what's going on, thus obviously going to keep my T-70 bit at bay here. And leave it to the infantry to now actually have a decent chance here versus those ensconced Panzer Grenadiers. Down south here, things are going to get a bit hairy as the T-70 moves in, going to push away those Panzer Grenadiers. Conscripts are in a bit of trouble there as well. Taking heavy losses, but can the T-70 save the day? No. Rather unfortunate there. And a squad lost. Rather unfortunate that. Rather unfortunate. But there we go, the T-70 is now on the prowl. At the same time, the Panzers are having a bit of trouble inside the building. They're taking quite a lot of fire there, veteran 2 for the Partizans. Ostrom holding about here at certain junctures, but they rather need to be, more together to really do anything. Also, one thing to note, though, and that's actually something I forgot doing the perhaps didn't know. I mean, he doesn't have an infantry company, which actually means his Osttruppen don't have access to Panzerfaust. Little fun fact there. Also, we know he's made a straight move here for the support armor corps, obviously opting for some armor for his Kampfgruppe. And in time to cover here to easy field on the way. I'm using he's actually getting a Panzer 4. But again, note there, requires infantry company. Either way, he's being a bit pushed back there across the front now until he can get that Panzer 4 out. Field gun arriving, I mean, I'm rather to a certain extent also expecting him to get some armor, since obviously rather than playing such aggressive play at the moment without any field really going into it.
Losing men here. We have resistance. Our opponents are seizing a sector.
And there we go, Panzer Kampfwagen here mobilizes. Pioneers doing what they can there to hold the victory point, that's not going to last for long. Field gun moving up, Panzer 4 rolling ahead, rapidly, swiftly, ruthlessly. And there you go, firing right at the Partizans, but rather failing to instead blowing up a fence. Trying to buy time here for the field gun to move up. T-70 quickly falling back, there you go, we just see him pushing forward, and there you go, field gun gets up hit on Panzer 4. Northern victory point falling, northern points up secured there, Panzer slowly edge forwards.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
And Panzer goes here clearing out one flank, good job, good job. Smaller Partisan force with combat just moving in through the south. And we're seeing he's actually trying to sneak through his Osttruppen horde here in the north, but that only really gets response here from the T-70, quickly firing away at them, and again, they can't really do much, but again, I really didn't know he hadn't built an infantry company, I hadn't thought about it. So you always assumed he had Panzerfaust, which is why I keep it such a distance, otherwise I've probably been even more bold with it. But there you go, Panzer moving ahead, but he's making a bit of a mistake here again, he's moving across straight there. And as you might be noticing, I choose to barrage right away, and there we go, the assault is, getting that wiped out there. I mean, be careful about making a direct charge like that. And also, you do see them with infantry, you've got the field gun, don't be afraid to actually use the barrage ability. Didn't help that he was moving across negative cover, which also overall gave all units nearby a greater chance to hit. So that definitely played a bit out. Also interesting, I mean, considering the commander is gone, we're not seeing any field officers at the moment, or even a trench which might also provide him with a bit of extra goodies. Slowly inching my way forward, and again the Osttruppen being assembled for another head-on assault, it would seem, or perhaps for a minor assault on the flank here. Then note he's always blobbing out a bit, which I always find is a bit unfortunate. Also note I'm generally trying to keep some units in the church to sort of have an observation post to sort of get more line of sight for nearby units, also make it harder for me to be surprised. Panzer 4 rolling in there to support the Osttruppen. Quickly though, Boris and Yuri go down there to some light machine gun fire from the Partisans. And up here the Osttruppen again make a move. There we go, just dreadful hits there from the T-70, just slaughtering numerous of the Osttruppen in the same place, leaving a pile of corpses. And we see here some further armor arriving to support the Rifle Corps. Partisans sneaking in, Panzer gun is with us from support up here.
Infantry!
Bit of tracking here. And again, had I remembered, again, they probably didn't have an infantry company and just didn't have Panzerfaust, I'd probably been a lot more aggressive and just tried to run them over. But either way, though, T-70 quickly gets off a few rapid shots, dropping another 3 Osttruppen.
What do you need?
Bit on the back foot here still, though, but slowly pushing back, slowly pushing back.
Panzer 4 is ready for battle.
Additional Panzer Kampfwagen arriving here, grenades going off, conscripts forced to abandon the church.
Ready!
But T-70 quickly and rapidly acting in as a reserve and reacting to this. There you go. Panzer going to fire from the church. Sturmgewehrs. Oh, there you go. Quickly forcing. There you go. Getting out the wrong door. That'll be unfortunate.
Good work, Ostruppen. We have taken it as a Germans. Ready as will ever
Ostrom
be.
continuing to hold up there. Still no sign of the officer.
300 points remaining.
Points that are rapidly ticking down since he's holding all 3 victory points, which is definitely unfortunate for me.
Our machine gun turret has been installed. Withdrawing
Noting here
fire.
using recon mode to sort of spot ahead. Get an idea what's going on. And sneaking up some parts here to do some harassment up north. We're seeing here that East is all of a sudden a bit unsure what to do. Panzer Kanone up now though, making things a bit more difficult in this area, although we see responses already in here. And Morton alternating a second field gun, since I'm rather worried at this stage that he might try and sort of, attack from up here, or he'll at least attack from several directions with his Panzer IV, in which case I'm going to need more field guns to sort of have a chance against that.
I suppose you have orders.
Contact infantry. Ostruppen awaiting orders.
Ostruppen!
We are losing.
He's still got all of his 5 Ostrom squads, which is something also knowing here medic bunkers finally being laid down here by them. Quickly getting to work. Quickly getting to work.
The enemy is attempting.
Mines
to
going down
steal
there
our
from the
sector.
partisans. Again, remember partisans can lay down mines, which does give them a nice amount of
I
utility
suppose you need cannon ready.
for the
Incoming
motherland.
fire. Ready.
Conscripts there falling back.
The bunker is now a field hospital.
Back here.
Panzer IV.
Standing by.
Ostruppen
All a bit quiet at the moment. Note the disposition of my tanks that is more in reactor mode rather than having it at the front line. I rather want to have them sort of able to react to anything my opponent might do more rapidly.
To the sector.
There you go, Panzer IV coming in and finding T-3476. Pioneers moving in, coming to clear out those mines. Conscripts and partisans quickly reacting.
Panzer in contact.
And we've got the mortar up here, sort of trying to sort of ensure they can cover a nice area around here, since I've rather decided for the time being to focus on the centre and the south, rather than the centre and the north. Again, I'm sort of, figuring out where I want my front line to go, where to put most of my effort and focus and concentrate, thus ensuring I don't make any mistakes by overextending. With the mortar, that's definitely going to be a bit more easy. Ostrom moving ahead, pack moving in, larger push here, tanks moving in. Ostrom making a push there against the church. Conscripts holding out as well as they can.
In the sector.
Points there being secured by a few plucky conscripts. T-34 coming in, getting behind the church there. Conscripts beginning to bleed out there inside the church confines. We're seeing another squad of Panzer Grenadiers, probably to replace the ones lost. Mortar rounds flying in as well.
fucking us up. Don't let them
Trying to get the Panzer Kanone, in which case I can probably rush in my tanks a bit and do some damage. Second T-34 there arriving.
Ready. Attack by an AT gun.
A second T-34.
I suppose you have orders.
Alternating there's a tank up north. Panzer is leading the way. Could he be trying to sneak in there? But already here I am prepared for such an eventuality. Although if he came from here with a larger Panzer push, it might be a bit of trouble. But he does seem to be holding his Panzers a bit back in reserve. Not sure what he's intending there.
Ostruppen ready.
Ostrom Fort here holding up by the fence. Looking at the hallowed victory point and waiting to sort of get across to grab it. And a small attempt here quickly encounters a bit of a problem as a Panzer IV and a Panzer squad reveals themselves. And there we go again, preparing for another push down south. Minesweepers, Panzer IV, and then again another massive push here, another human wave assault there with the Osttruppen. I mean, rather crude tactics in that department.
Under small arms fire.
Rather crude. Conscripts, partisans, Panzer, tanks moving in.
Pioneers have finished.
And troops here awfully close up together, by the way. Awfully close. One mortar strike here could do a ton of damage.
Losses. I suppose you need
Ton of damage.
contact infantry.
And there we go, one mortar strike wipes out numerous. Ostrom there leaving a huge pile of corpses. Once more, Panzer is running to it, trying to crash, but instead exposing themselves to an awful lot of rifle fire and whatnot. Pack 40 firing away, going straight for the centre victory point where there's nothing coming. When no, they probably not get a lot there to sort of provide support. Panzer is getting quickly Panzer strikes back to Dane and the Russians. Another team headed one way. Panzer IV pushing ahead down south. The central assault has failed. They makes another push in the south. But the Ostrom there getting absolutely gutted by partisans with machine guns and tanks. And we're seeing Mark Vehicle going in there. Mark Vehicle on that Panzer IV, thinking I might have a chance of knocking out. And there we go, ramming ahead. Doing a bit of damage there. T-70 following in. T-34 following in as well. Taking advantage of the chaos and all of that after that main assault. So moving in all my tanks after, going to see if we can't catch that Panzer IV and wreck it. But of course at the same time I want to consider having something to repair that T-34. Additional T-34s are arriving at the very same time as well though. T-70 firing into the rear of the Panzer Kampfwagen 4. Not looking too good there. Lots of troops here nearby. And there we go. Panzer IV down, Panzer IV down. At the same time, Panzer assault going in, and we're seeing the railroad gun firing. CoH2 is talking, and he's not happy. At the same time, all of this is happening, and Panzer IV arrives here, forcing me to pull back my tanks there. And a direct call in on the church. I'm not paying attention here. Well, he's paying attention a bit too late, and there we go. The church is shattered in one strike. Falls apart as if though it's made of matchsticks. The Germans certainly had quite a bit of heavy artillery, at least sort of variety. Not necessarily they had a lot of it. That was more the Soviet thing. But they did have a lot of, well, some large artillery pieces, not just the railway artillery, but also the Karl-Gerät, which was also rather massive in size and, well, sheer volume of shots. There we go, and we're just seeing a huge assault going in here. That's Ostrom. One Panzer falling away. Two T-34 still quickly proving to be a problem here. Ostrom are dropping, practically shielding the Panzer IV with their bodies. Not sure if this is Operation Human Shield that might have been envisioned here by Easy. Once more after an assault, there's a large swath of Ostrom corpses.
Our territory is falling into enemy hands.
And another assault going in here, Field gun firing away, and we're seeing another railway strike going in. CoH2 speaks once more. Tanks moving in. T-70 though in a rather poor condition there with 24 kills.
Partisans ready.
B-54 taking fire. Engineers standing by.
Tanks moving in. Getting caught up in right in front of the Pack 40, which is rather far plus the Panzer Rex. And a Panzer IV joins in, resulting in the loss of one T-34, rather tragic and rather silly by me. We do see a quick barrage here from the field gun home to catch those Panzer Grenadiers, but rather does not succeed except killing poor Friedrich, who was a bit too slow. Fresh push down south with another T-34 on the way. I mean, he's constantly trying to keep up pressure there, and of course I'm also sort of trying to push up here. I'm trying to force him to overextend, trying to hold too much.
The enemy is encroaching on our territory.
Since EC does seem a bit greedy.
Panzer IV is ready for battle.
An additional Panzer Kampfwagen 4 rolls out.
Infantry engaging us! Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
With a third field gun on the way.
Man down!
And the combat is up having no chance versus the Panzer Kampfwagen 4. Another assault in again, and just another wave assault here. I mean, not really very advanced tactics going on here from Easy. Not really advanced at all, which to a certain extent makes things a bit easier for me, since a few field barrages or more strikes can really end up doing a ton of damage to him.
We are losing supplies to the enemy.
Panzer IV arriving, T-70 still needing repairs. We've got the mortar here firing away. Already veteran 2-1. And there you go, just striking down. Field barrels there going in. Ostrom getting shattered. Panzer is firing away. Partisans joining in there with SVT-40 veterans here. And there you go, one Ostrom squad almost murdered in one hit. Panzer IV moving in, straight from the field guns and the T-34. Taking quite a bit of damage there, veteran 1, another field gun. Panzer is moving in, trying to clear out that field gun. Pack 40 also trying to support it, keeping my T-34s at bay a bit here at the same time. Field gun here getting flanked by Panzer IV, trying to turn about to deal with that. And there go Panzer IV here, almost wiped up. Veteran 2 for the T-70 light tank. T-34 ramming the Panzer IV, saving the field gun crew here. And that Panzer IV is almost down. Veterans here for that field gun. Panzer IV also trying to escape, trying to catch it, firing at the ground here, getting the T-34. Another Panzer IV arrives, and there you go, one Panzer IV wet down over there, leaving a huge bonfire of steel. Another T-34 down. Rather heavy armoured losses. And trying to get that Pack 40, but sadly no luck. Sneaking up this field gun here behind the church, by the way.
Only 200 points remain. Double your efforts.
But definitely a lot of bleeding going on here. Command is moving out.
We are as ready as we can
And field guns continue to sneak up and try and get off a few shots there on the Panzer bank here, forcing both back. Again, heavy losses. Also noting, not a lot of pioneers, which overall means, I mean, the repairs will be very slow. And that's a small advantage there to me then, and again that means it'll be some time before he pushes them in. If he does push them in before that, I mean there will be much more likely to get wiped out. Of course, that is not to claim that my tanks are in a much better condition. None whatsoever.
Resistance fighters ready.
Another push in here with the Horde. Another bomb assault.
suffering vehicle losses.
Panzer leading in. T-70 here keeping at the base. You saw that don't get within range of the Panzer X. Panzer's needing to be careful. Oh, there we go. Nice hit from the field gun. Might get wiped out there. And there we go. In fact, that is exactly what happened. And dropping a Panzer here for the Soviets to use. Mortar getting veteran 2. Ostrom taking heavy losses. Another nasty loss there for EC. Another Panzerkampfwagen. I mean, he really loves spamming those Panzerkampfwagen here, doesn't he? Victory points are quickly draining out.
T-70 reporting.
Yes,
Good overall manning to hold the line here. Not one step back, comrades.
There are no cowards here.
Yes, comrade. More conscripts at our disposal.
With more conscripts, I'll sort of replace some of the heavy infantry losses I'm actually suffering, though I'm pretty sure I'm still doing better than the Ostgruppen. We're definitely bleeding out.
Not one step back.
And again, I mean, note he's playing rather passively with his Panzers. I mean, we're only seeing a few ones being sent down here at times. We've never saw any real massive armoured movement. I mean, right now, he was to sort of pull off one massive armoured assault from the right angle. He could probably push them off completely, but again, in part, he's spreading them out rather against the advice of Guderian, and then I mean, at the same time, he's also playing them rather defensively. More like bunkers than anything else. Which is not necessarily the best way to get the most out of your Panzerkampfwagen. If you were to inquire with me.
Light tank ready.
More Osttruppen advancing. I mean, he could also consider actually laying down some trenches at the very least, you know. I mean, he's going to hang around. He might as well entrench, you know, dig up some units that way. Dig in a bit. But even then, I mean, for someone playing defensively, he doesn't even then, you know, proceed to fortify the positions. There's also rather acute lack of mines going on, I can't help but feel.
Field gun standing by.
So there we go, both Northern Panzers
All units are here.
prepared and repaired.
Yes, comrade.
T-71 for moving in there, veteran by the way, showing it is more accurate and has a higher rate of fire.
Squad at full strength.
Pioneer sneaking in there. Not sure what they are intending there. Ostrom moving ahead once more. Why are we doing this? For the fatherland? Maybe? I don't know. I just found myself in a German uniform. Anyways, Panzer was here, taking a bit of beating, but so are the partisans. Oh dear, they fought well, but ultimately they went down there. And another bit of railway artillery there once more. Spear Gusto speaks to it again. Except that one church, it hasn't really done much, of course, except for it's slightly pulled back here. Panzer 4 moving in. T-70 here taking heavy damage from the Panzerkampfwagen 4, but the field gun, oh, cleared it out there with machine guns. They're going to rapidly repair through. T-34 moving in. Send here just a huge series of craters and smoke. T-70 almost wiped out again. Not looking good there. And that Panzer 4 might get wiped there. Looks like the Panzer 4's in the north, finally on the move. Finally, at the same time though, he's actually splitting them out. Getting behind one, but then Martin up in front of another. Half track nearby here, ready to reinforce. Panzer 4 down south, down. One field gun down, one field gun down. And interesting enough, note here, he doesn't try and get behind the other field. In fact, he gets right in front of it, stays in front of it, which is only to my advantage. Ostrom in trouble with the T-34, forced away. And in the end, he actually falls back. He actually falls back, and looks like the Pack 40 is ready to move up once more. And noting here an upgrade for the a half track, adding in some more severe firepower versus the infantry. Plus allowing me to reinforce at the front. But time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation is, I mean, I'm rather behind on victory points, but actually bleeding him out a bit there again, the Ostrom, and the way he's attacking with them, rather playing to my advantage to a certain extent. And I'm certainly also doing something about those victory points slowly but surely. I've got plenty of few guns, and I'm, you know, got a decent amount of armor. In particular, I've got that veteran 2 T-70, which is really doing quite a number on his infantry, rather forcing him to play a bit cautiously, and always have to sort of basically support any infantry move with a Panzer, otherwise risk, you know, the T-70 quickly moving in and just begin firing away with that tiny little gun and do some nasty, nasty things. So that really has turned out to be quite the worthwhile investment in this match. Few guns certainly also running up well, but at the same time, with the half tank, I can finally keep them reinforced at the front line, which has rather been one of the places where I've been having a bit of trouble. I should consider getting some more combat units to sort of speed up repairs, and a few mines here and there might also work. Then again, I'd rather save up the munitions in this case for spy network, thus ensuring I actually have an idea of what he's doing, because I can then sort of spot on the minimap where he's got his tanks placed, and then figure out might he actually be setting up for an assault there, or for example, this could have, you know, harass the northern point or do something fun up there. I mean, there are some thoughts there. Mortars also done quite well. Also need to consider getting some more tanks to sort of prepare for a more proper attack. In terms of damage, I mean, we're actually pretty equal, the slight lead to me, and of course a noticeable lead in kills, because again he's using Ostrom, and the way he's using them rather results in even heavier losses. Also noting here, all of his Panzer grenadiers are pretty much dead at the moment. He's only got 4 veterans to 3 Ostrom squads. I mean, he's actually been bleeding out quite a bit. And considering also one thing, I mean, the blob tactics he's been utilising, I mean, they're, again, rather crude and in many regards not very effective. But even then, I mean, he's not using the officer, which some might, you know, regard as rather essential, because, again, that basically allows you to further boost them on the offensive. But again, there's rather been none of that here for him at all, which rather means he's in some regards perhaps not playing it as effectively as he could. But again, he needs to sort of play his infantry a bit more intelligently, because he's rather wasting it away in many departments just bleeding out, which is only really to my advantage. You should definitely consider getting officers up, and I think you should consider setting up some bunkers at some of the more vital points, making it a bit harder for me to actually harass him. A few mines would also do him plenty of good. Perhaps some more armor, perhaps an Austrian flak panzer, and I think you should definitely consider setting up some sort of more serious assault here, flanking in, heading from the sides, clearing out the field guns, then wiping out the panzers, well, the tanks, the T-34s, and then, you know, taking it on from there. But again, you know, less blobbing, more maneuvering and tactics. Because otherwise, I mean, I'll just keep, you know, firing away with mortars, tanks, T-70s, field guns, and basically just massacre the blob every time, which is largely also what is happening without the blob really in the end meant to do much. He might also want to consider actually getting the Panzer fast upgrade so he can do a bit more with his Ostrom in that regard. Since again, currently I can pretty much just drive out a tank without having to worry about getting hit by a Panzer fast, which is actually to a large extent limiting the effectiveness of the Ostrom. So that is definitely also something he should consider at the very least. would rather keep up the pressure and also try to keep up the pressure again, try to sort of, attack me from the flanks, try to envelop me, get behind the front line instead of charging straight into it, which is only to my advantage. But let's return to the fight here. Panzer force once more pulling back, Ostrom pushing forwards.
Panzer 4, ready.
And the Germans did have thousands of Eastern Europeans fighting among them in different regions and for different causes. Little fun fact, in fact, T-70 have been receiving repairs. Austrian flak panzers on the way. And of course, stuff like half-tracks for the AA guns were actually the more common anti-aircraft weaponry of the self-propelled kind, rather than anti-aircraft tanks, and that was pretty much, well, the rule on every army. But otherwise, I suppose if they didn't use flak panzers, say, for the Germans, it would be too, much alike in that department, because again, then it would be a half-track with AA guns on it, like, say, the flak feeling, or the 37mm gun as well, which I suppose some might consider a bit dull. That's it as well. But yeah, basically they saw trucks with AA guns on it. Again, rarely was any sort of real anti-aircraft tanks, and the ones that really had them in the war was either the Germans and I think the Italians. There you go, flak panzer supporting a southern push again with the Osttruppen. Again, no officer sort of help. Remotely, we're seeing fresh panzer against. The panzer is actually suffering quite heavily in this engagement. T-70 quickly rolling in. Ostrom in the line of fire. Wind moving in. .30 kills on the T-70, T-31, 32. Ostrom moving in, getting hit there from a T-34 behind. Field gun firing from front. Now the Ostrom is actually caught in several points. And there we go, damaged engines. He's going to quickly move in again to deal with the Ostrom. 32 kills, 33. And there we go, Ostrom kaput. Panzer Grenadier moving out. Panzer 4 still holding out a bit passively. Ostrom again taking up position here at the southern centre. And there you go, the court-mounted AA half-track moves up. 450 caliber machine guns firing away. And doing a nice bit of damage there. More mortar rounds, they're hitting the pack. And they're in fact gaining veterans to 3, and another squadron stand back now. The Ostrom are beginning to suffer more heavily than that. Half-track there, taking a few hits. Another shot there from the Schwerer Gustav. They had about, I think, 2 or 3 of these heavy railway guns.
It's in our hands now.
Also used in the war was in fact Big Bertha, the World War I heavy artillery gun. Little fun fact there. In fact, the Germans used up a bunch of World War II pieces as well. Some of their own, but also some they captured from other armies.
Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders.
So, little fun fact there. But now things are beginning to look good. I've actually really seriously bled out his infantry, and I'm sort of slowly pushing ahead here.
The adversary has slipped to 100 points.
Pack 40 finally got cleared up, but he's quick to replenish that and recruit it. Still no sign though of the officer. Sturmgeschütz on the way. Field gun sneaking up here again behind the church ruins. And the footprint pull away. The comfortable Behermann having a bit of trouble there, to put it mildly. Also noting no further Ostrom have been called in. T-70 finding a bit of covering fire.
They're trying to hit us from the rear. Enemy tank attacking.
And there we go, Ostrom sneaking ahead. T-70 fires away once more rapidly and viciously. And there you go, veterans who flee, but at the same time coming under fire from the Pack 40 here, firing attack round. And there you go, T-70 tragically lost. Tragically lost. And again, sneaking up here, again a bit of harassment, trying again to force him to extend further out. Again, with his force actually mustn't again, the larger part being Ostrom, and that's actually rather think from there you go. He actually expends a squad trying to get the T-70, which, as you might notice in here, resulted in, well, it being blown up completely.
The enemy has destroyed a Panzer.
So that basically ended up being the waste of 3 Osttruppen there.
Assault gun standing by.
But now he's got the Sturmgeschütz. Can this turn the tide for the fatherland, I wonder?
Mission complete. We have Osttruppen ready.
And there you go, Panzer 6 on the conscripts. Still a bit of a number there on the Sturmgeschütz. Panzer 4 finding up north.
Withdrawing fire. Standing by.
They're fucking us up.
More mortar rounds going down. And the AA half-track continues to spew out a hailstorm of bullets. And tanks basically did it out in a manner where they can quickly move to support where any effort is needed.
Panzer 4 standing by.
Basically holding them in reserve. Field guns basically spread out alternately at the more important points, that is the victory points, and then basically I use the tanks to quickly reinforce the situations wherever needed,
Loaded for Panzer
thus ensuring I can hold a reasonable amount of territory, but at the same time keep some punch in case if something happens. Rather than tying down a lot of units at both points, I'd rather have a small amount of units tied down at either point, and then I have a large reserve that can then rapidly react to either development. After they're arriving, going to get quad mounted as well.
is gaining the foothold.
Taking a 1 quad mount as well, more will do better.
Man down. Osttruppen evading.
Also once more taking a horrible beating there. The Osttruppen, by the way, as the war progressed, was, well, basically slowly moved away from the Eastern Front as the Germans realized they were getting increasingly unreliable, as things were beginning to look less, well, wonderful for the Germans, which resulted in many sort of being positioned, for example, on the beaches of Normandy, but also in other places and basically away from the front line.
He's down.
More railway artillery.
The enemy is taking our territory.
T-70, by the way, barely avoids it. Nicely done there. House collapses under the sheer explosive and concussive force there of that
Panzer 4.
shell. And there we go, half-track down here, ensuring repairs for the field gun. Good, good. There's definitely a feeling of more defensive play going on, and ultimately it's not really having that particular when he then proceeds to lob in. Osttruppen not having a fun time. There we go, shooting attack round through the hedgerows of the trees. In this case, also shooting at the field gun, having to do some damage.
We are losing a sector.
And again, another push towards the north.
Railway artillery at the ready. Yeah, standing by.
Panzer there connecting with the Panzer 4 before retreating. Taking a few nasty hits there from heavy machine guns and ice pistol shells there. That was nasty. That was rather nasty there from the Panzer Sphere.
Cut off.
But now he's the one who's actually steadying, losing the ground here, as we keep slowly but surely pushing forwards. So things in that department are looking less good for easy. Still no sign of mines though. Kein Minen.
Ready as we'll ever be.
And his infantry is definitely beginning to bleed out as well. Now we're actually seeing an infantry company up. I mean, this late into the game is definitely rare to see. Definitely rare to see. Question is, what shall he be getting from it? What could he be considering? But back to the Dane. Rifle Corps. Noticeably, as you might be noting here, a rather large difference in force sizes. 3 T-34s, 2 half-tracks, lots of conscripts, field guns and other nasty things. Troops here under heavy fire. The defense holding all along the line, more or less now. And basically the half-track here serving the roles of heavy machine guns as well, besides mobile reinforcement points. T-34 coming up after the Pack 40, the Panzer 41. And there we go, Veteran 2 for the Pack 40. Veteran Z2. Still could do with more combat engineers. Nice little blow-ups down there, and there we go, the Panzer IV, in fact, remaining up him. I mean, he's further tying down his forces, in particular his Panzers, which really should be used more aggressively, which again is only making things a bit easier for me elsewhere.
Red Army, at your service.
So he's not exactly doing himself any favours as the game progresses, although of course, I mean, he's doing me favours, which is great, but you know, it's not really me he should be trying to help.
We need to re-establish our supply lines.
T-34's new repairs, and there goes Sniper arriving. Die Scharfschütze.
Taking fire!
Not sure why it's getting at this stage of the fight.
Here standing by.
Not sure why.
Waiting for your command. What do you need?
The remainders of the Ostrom here pushing ahead, doing their best, but is it enough?
Comrade!
Standing by.
Another hit there from the mortar, taking another massive toll there on the unfortunate Osttruppen. Panzer's here pulling back towards the half-tech reinforcement instead of retreating, and the half-tech here providing a nice amount. Just note the range, by the way, it has to actually land into quite far away, and just shredding Osttruppen from afar. Tanks are slowly getting repaired.
Ready for orders.
And note, yeah, pretty much at full population cap here.
Has arrived.
And a further series of barrages here. Force getting to further pull away from the central victory point.
T-34 ready.
Yes, comrade?
South is largely void, or we do see a few panzers being in there. And now we're actually seeing he's moved on to heavy panzer corps. It looks like he's opting for something heavier to break through the lines all of a sudden. There might be a bit too late for that thought.
T-34 crude loaded and ready.
And there we go, spy network, allowing you to sort of have an idea what's going on here on the map. Note where his armour is positioned, where his infantry is positioned. And again, I'm basically looking out for this because I'm planning an assault here in the north, and I'm rather wondering if there's anything that can easily support this Panzer IV in the north. I notice there isn't, so once I can, I have to be rushing in my tanks to clear out this, and then likely he will then be responding with this, but then of course I will then have the local advantage up here after that Panzer IV's gone down most likely. So ultimately he'll just be driving more tanks straight into a trap.
We are losing territory. Yes, comrade.
Again, mine efforts now being sort of expended towards, instead of attacking straight into where my defences, I think he's trying to head south, but again he will be getting a bit of a nasty surprise down south as well.
Spies are ready to reveal enemy positions.
Going straight there for the victory point, the half-tech rapidly moves up and just tears into those Panzer grenadiers. They don't really stand much of a chance that close. Not much of a chance, and there we go, all three tanks are repaired, fit for fight. And now going to be striking him where he's weakest, essentially blitzkrieg tactic, if you will. Since he's pretty much got nothing else up in the north except for Panzer IV, and if I can get that Panzer IV, of course I'll have a nice important piece of armour as well. Close though to Vetri, too close. There we go, blitzkrieg, and there we go, Vetri 2, small armour buff. We are seeing this 2 go rhyming here. And there we go, Mark Mill goes up on the Panzer IV, increasing the damage down to it by my T-34, so there we go, that almost wiped out. Stug is arriving, Panzer IV moving in, might want to blitz that one. Short tank trouble dealing with the frontal of the Panzer IV, driving up behind it. Stug, of course, also having trouble dealing with the simple, sheer, massive horse. And there we go, Pioneer's getting crushed, trying to repair, and there we go, Panzer IV down. Stug is the next target. Panzerkanone firing in as well. Sniper, not really hearing much out there. One T-34 down. T-34 is also close to Vetri 2.
The enemy is reduced to 200.
There you go, Vetri 2 on one T-34.
We have lost.
And there we go, Stug is down. Lost one Panzer IV, one Stug. T-34 trying to make an escape as all of this is going on. And there we go, Panzer connects with the rear of the Panzer IV force that way, just as he actually damaged the engine of the T-34. He probably could have knocked that one, but he actually instead opts for a rather blitzing retreat here, past the smouldering wreckage of former comrades. All of a sudden, I mean, having been in some regards in a more of a poking fight, this all of a sudden turned into a rather large slug out here in the north, which overall came out favourably to me, in particular since again due to the population cap, I'd not been able to build anything, and now, oh right, I'm getting more tanks. More tankists for the front, comrades. with a sniper moving through here. A
Area
bit wondering
secure.
what he's supposed to do here. Now everything else is dead. Except the enemy. And right here he does make a slight mistake then moving up in the open, exposing him to Soviet rifle fire.
Vehicles can be marked and targeted.
Ostrom again making another push here for the centre. A quick barrage. Trying to catch those Osttruppen. Mortar rounds joining in as well. And we're noting here Panzer has actually now arrived here for easy. And Panzer therefore unleashes rockets. Killing a few conscripts right there. Ostrom getting massacred, driving around here. The Pack 40 trying to pre-position. Field gunning in support.
Yes, Commander. Get him.
With a conscript squad here holding up with a purloined Panzer strike was out of the building. And there we go. Pack 40 down. Field gun opens up down the Panzer 4, forcing that to pull back. More T-34s moving in.
Standing by.
And a field barrage right, or artillery barrage right down the field gun. Conscripts here took a great beating there from the Panzer 4, but T-34 quickly moves on. And that might have the end. There we go, ramming, but actually end up diving straight through the Panzer 4 before blowing up itself.
Another vehicle has been lost in the defense of the Rodina.
Definitely taking it a bit far there. More Panzer for fire. Half-tech moving in to support the field gun. T-34s are moving in. But now things are falling apart here for the Kampfgruppe, but also at the same time, half-track down south here, going to be sent in to clear out the Panzerwehr if possible. There we go. Panzer gets wiped out. Practically nothing left here for EC.
Your predecessor died executed.
Also getting caught on fire. We do see a Panzerwehr going off. And Panzerwehr actually taking heavy damage from the core mount. And there we go, GG. And seemingly a bit unhappy about my field guns, which certainly did a lot to break up his assaults. And there we go, game over, a victory for the motherland. A rather mechanized one, in fact. The half-tech certainly proving out to be quite helpful. But before that, the T-70 also doing its job. In terms of commander usage, I mean, I used all abilities of the partisans themselves. Well, actually didn't use the anti-tank partisans. And the regular partisans even saw limited uses in this fight, so this is probably not the best in case. But still, actually managed to make use of the other abilities, spy network, mark vehicle, and radio intercept, rather allowing me to sort of have an intelligence advantage and also quickly turning the tide against any panzers, in particular the lone ones on the field. Otherwise, this to a large extent came down to me a more extended defensive operation here from me, which again was in larger part then dependent on tanks acting as a mobile reserve, quickly diverting any blows he was directing at me and breaking up his assaults. The field guns with the barrages also been quite important when he was blobbing, and that was really one of the major mistakes here from Easy. He kept on blobbing. I mean, in that department, I mean, he just ended up wasting tons of troops, since they basically make themselves easy targets for tanks, artillery and such, which overall really only played into my hands. And certainly also into the hands of the AA half-tracks. I mean, that was really one thing he shouldn't have been doing. Also, no use of the officer, and I mean, he should have laid down some defenders here and there, which would also make things a lot hard for me. But again, for someone, I mean, there were some rather odd things, and again, also the way he was using his Panzer was extremely, you know, defensive, passive, and then he rather split them up rather than trying to launch one major assault, which again, when I attack with my tanks and say up here, I mean, I really just launched all of them at the same time, overwhelming him and getting several tanks out in the process. Sure, I lost 2 tanks, but I mean, 1 Stug and 1 Panzer IV veteran is a much greater loss than 2 T-34s. So I mean, that is something to keep in mind. I mean, his tactics were a bit crude in some departments. He definitely needs to work on, you know, how to attack with infantry and how to use Osttruppen, because the way he's utilizing them is one that only ends up causing him large casualties and only feeds his opponent experience. Also, he should have been faster then moving on to the heavy Panzer Corps rather than keep spamming Panzer Force, which again ended up not quite getting him where he wanted. Had he probably gone for a Panther then, perhaps a Panzerwerfer, he might have had a chance, but again, it was simply too late. The Mort here, by the way, also doing an absolutely sterling job just killing those Osttruppen and Panzer Grenadiers. Fear guns also playing a large role there again, not just in the tanks but also with the infantry, breaking up assaults at vital junctions. I mean, that is really one of those primary usages there of the field or the light artillery barrage. That is basically, from my point of perspective, enemy launches an infantry assault, fire the barrage straight into it and break it up. But hopefully you enjoyed this match. Hopefully you learned a thing or two or three about it. Hopefully you were inspired to try out some new things. If you were, why not subscribe? Tell your friends. Share with everyone, If not, send in a replay and provide some feedback in the comments. This is ImperialDane saying cheers.